Hello, welcome to the Record Celtic podcast brought to you by NordVPN. My name is Daniel Cobb. Delighted to be joined by Record Sports Craig Swan and Michael Gannon. Guys, good to see you.
Hi Daniel, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
I'm all right. I've just taken a mouthful of chili nuts. I didn't realise how spicy they were. I blew my head off there.
Losing the title, Michael.
Sorry?
Losing the title.
I know, I didn't quite realise it was that spicy. So if my eyes are watering, my face goes bright red, you'll know what's happening here. It's not having some sort of episode. Weak. I know, okay. Swanee likes his spicy stuff. I've seen it in action.
We'll get an ambulance in standby, just in case. I was going to say, where should we start? But obviously, I think the only place for us to start.
A season that was nuts.
It was a mad season.
Really nuts.
Is that the maddest? I mean, it's the maddest season I can remember. I don't know about you guys. I can't think of another campaign that is comparable, really, for all the storylines, all the ups and downs. I mean, people like Russell Martin and Wilfred Nancy. It feels like years ago to me. It's been incredible.
Yeah, all sorts going on, and fantastic from start to finish. Really, just so many plot twists and turns and things happening, and Celtic were out of it, then they were back in it. Well, sorry, they were in it at the start, then they were out of it, then they were back in it, then Wilfred Nancy came, they were out of it again, then they were back in. An astonishing season. I mean, that's obviously the Celtic podcast. We concentrate mainly on Celtic, but obviously the storylines at some of the other clubs were just so gripping. The way things were happening, and even your Falkirks and Motherwells and things like that. Just great entertainment as well. I think. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I think there was a lot of times when the football wasn't great, but the tightness of the league and the scoreline jeopardies and all that kind of stuff just kept it enthralling all the way through. I mean, we're not going to sit here and pretend that it was a classic quality season in terms of football. It most certainly was not for the guys and gals who watched the 38 Celtic games. It was more about resilience, grit, determination, desire, hunger, fight, you name it. But sometimes those ones are the sweetest for supporters when it's not all great and their team has to actually show you something. And that's what the Celtic team did for their supporters.
That's the thing. This season is, for a long part of it, from a Celtic fans' perspective, it was been the worst season in 30 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's probably turned out to be the best season in 30 years.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I think in terms of the twists and turns and drama, I think this season will be remembered by Celtic fans more than any. I mean, the last, was it 14 out of 15 titles?
Yeah.
I think this one will be the one that's remembered more than any of them because of what's happened this season. I mean, you go back to the start. I mean, what a wild ride. I mean, it's been incredible. You back to the summer, the failure, the growing kind of sense of frustration and panic at the lack of signings over the summer, the inevitable collapse in the Champions League, which caused an outcry, the supporters that set the tone for the kind of the breakdown with the punters. The gradual hints that Brendan Rodgers was losing his patience and there's a breakdown behind the scenes. Brendan walking out, then Martin O'Neill coming back in, which was an absolutely mind-blowing thing. Martin, who at that time was doing his tour and speaking tour everywhere, and he walks back into Celtic Park. I mean, it was like bizarre. He stays 3 weeks longer than they planned because he couldn't get a work permit for a guy in America that nobody had heard of. They go and get. Eventually get the guy in, and it's the biggest week of the season. They've got Hearts in a cup final and a European game. They gets walloped in the three of them. People called for him to get sacked after 6 days in the job. 6 days. Turns out he lasted 33, only won 2 games out of 8. And Martin had got back to level in the league, and then had to get back to another 6-point deficit. He comes back in, begging for players. Doesn't get any good ones in January. Signed 6 days. I mean, Rojo was decent enough. I mean, Oxlade Chamberlain didn't come in and played bits and pieces. The rest of them were pretty much hopeless. Didn't play a part in the game. Some of them never seen again. And yet, they seem to stumble on. And then they get to the Tannadice, and they need to win 7 games out of 7 to win the league. That's the talk. And every day, and I don't care who you speak to, everyone said, not a chance is this team winning 7 games against the top 7 teams in the league at that point in time. And yet, they go and do it. They win 7 out of 7. The last 4 of them all coming from behind to win the last 4 games. I mean, Hibs, Rangers, Mull and Hearts coming from behind. By the way, this season as well is sent me to the lonely bin because covering the games, As you know, we do it for online and on deadlines and all that stuff. 11 games this season have been decided. 11 out of 38 have been decided in the last 10 minutes of games. 11 out of 38. 10 of them were winners, and one of them was a draw at Ibrox, the 92nd minute penalty kick at Ibrox. That's not included the chucking in the extra time against Rangers in the League Cup, the penalty shootout in this, the Scottish Cup, the extra time in the League Cup, in the Scottish Cup semi-final. I mean, it has been utterly bonkers.
You forgot the penalty shootout in Kazakhstan.
Penalty shoot Kazakhstan. By the way, not only did I have a deadline, I had a flight to catch. I was on a 5 o'clock in the morning flight, and it was 2:20 in the morning we got to the stadium.
Oh wow!
So just to add to that, I forgot about that one, Swanee. I was straight. I took my case to the game and went straight from a penalty shootout to the airport.
See, fans.
It was sorry, Dan. Just think it was recap there. Did remind me a wee bit of 2008. I think they needed 7 or 8 in Strachan's team. I think there was scarves flying onto the track when they lost at home at Motherwell, and Strachan, you know where to go.
Pop, yeah.
There's not a chance that Celtic were winning those last 7 games that season, and somehow they did it. But you're right, Nick, I think this season seems even more remarkable. Probably due to the fact it was maybe only it was one team that Celtic were chasing in 2008 when they were chasing that Rangers team, whereas this year there was 3 in the fight for a long spell of it. Incredible turnaround.
I think as well, obviously mentioned Martin O'Neill, but for me, he's just about the only manager I can think of that could have galvanised this, not just the team, but Celtic as a club, to kind of persuade the Green Brigade to put everything behind them and let's just focus on it. It's been remarkable that he's managed to do it, and he's almost done it with 2. We mentioned with 2 hands tied behind his back. January was terrible, and as I'm sitting here right now, I'm still thinking to myself, how did he do it? How has he pulled this off? I mean, it is remarkable that he's managed to win that league. I was like you, Mick. I was like, no chance this Celtic team wins 7 games. Maybe if Hearts and Rangers fold a bit. But no, 7 wins in a row. Just absolutely astonishing.
I think the unity in the stadium thing was maybe a double-edged sword. Martin O'Neill was clearly a big part of it, and he spoke about it quite a lot. But, he spoke about it the first time he was there earlier in the season, and it didn't change much. I think there was a sort of penny drop in realisation moment amongst the supporters that they're going to have to try and get behind the team because they're not going to get it done on their own. As Michael made the point there about the Dundee United game at Tannadice, it was kind of watershed there. He thought, well, it's really not going to happen for Celtic. And I think the supporters kind of got the message that, do you know what, we're going to have to maybe just try and galvanise the team in some way, shape or form. I'm not denying for a fact that Martin O'Neill had a big part to do with that because he went on about it. But like I say, it didn't happen earlier in the season when he tried it. There was still, we were there in Paisley that night, Michael, when he pleaded, remember? The night Callum McGregor scored the goal in the injury time back in October, November time, the first time he was there, and he was kind of talking about it. It never really happened. I think, one of the games after, there was still protests and stuff. So I think it was a double-edged sword, but there's no doubt that the supporters did unify with the club towards the end of the season. Look at the results for that.
I think the Martin O'Neill effect, I don't think you can underestimate it. And weirdly, not because of Martin O'Neill, the coach or tactician. I think that it's more the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
It was like, Martin O'Neill has got this. Listen, I think at times this season that the coaching has been a bit kind of confusing, a little bit kind of disjointed. I think you can see sometimes the kind of conflict behind the scenes because he admits himself that Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham and the guys don't see the game quite the same way as him. And there were times when I thought that you could tell on the pitch that the messages looked a bit confused and listen, all that. But what he brought was this aura and this sense that anything is possible with this guy around. And this wee guy from Northern Ireland who makes jokes and self-deprecating and half the squad don't understand what he's saying. But for something about him is that he's got this magical aura that good things seem to happen when he's about. And then, by the way, I think he did make tactical decisions towards the end of the season that were inspired. Even at the weekend against Hearts, his substitutions, I think his game plan might not be pretty. I think it was basically to stay in the game for 70 minutes and then chuck the kitchen sink at it. And he did, and he ends up with a back 3 with 2 full-backs and a back 3. Exactly the formation that Wilfred Nancy had for his madness. Just to put the tin hat in it, he went all Wilfred Noncy in the last 10 minutes against Hearts to win the league. But it was just brilliant. But he certainly he brings that order. He asks every player. He gives them a sense of they've been 10 feet tall, and he has created that magic dust that he's managed to sprinkle around this squad to get them over the line. And a season that probably didn't expect or I'm not saying deserve. That's not the right word. Could do deserve it, but I mean in a regular season, finishing with 82 points, we've probably seen them about 10 points behind the leaders. If it usually the Rangers, but that case, if it was the other way around. If it was Celtic, usually 90-odd points. I mean, we wouldn't really be in that position. So we're fortunate that the other two were knocking each other as well, which meant the points were reduced this year. But you can't put it. I mean, you cannot knock him for what he's done this year. He's galvanised an entire club, and I get why others go. He's just a legend. He's an absolute Celtic legend.
It's also brilliant to downplay it, Michael. I mean, before you get your first joke of the day in about my age, with your ageism. I don't remember being in the press room the day when Celtic beat Rangers 6-2 in his first term, and he said Rangers are still the benchmark.
Yeah, famous, wasn't it?
The first thing he said when everybody was losing their heads about, this is it, this is the day when everything's changing for Celtic. Oh no, Rangers are still the benchmark, and he maintained it the whole way through the season, despite the fact Celtic were miles clear, and he constantly did it through this run-in. Yeah. Even after Celtic beat Rangers a couple of Sundays ago, I mean, it's still mountains to climb. Still mountains to climb. They won it for Motherwell are a great team. And, we're still underdogs in it. You just played it that way the whole way through. Obviously, the total opposite of what he was saying behind closed doors in the dressing room. But you just get that way that you always just seem to just make it seem unlikely. Just keep it under a lid on it for Celtic all the way through. He's brilliant at doing that. Great at doing that.
He is. Yeah, he's just got something. He's just got something about him, hasn't he? He's just got something. I think, especially at Celtic. I mean, this is. Just seems to be where he just comes to life, doesn't he?
Yeah. And just knowing what to say and when to say it. I mean, like we heard earlier in the season in his first stint when Danny Roll decided to have a little mention of what team Martin O'Neill had picked in Stuttgart, and was it Stuttgart? Have I got that right? Is that the right game?
It was Stuttgart.
The wee leg
question, and I thought you're thinking, you could tell even in Martin's face that day, Michael. I think you were there that day, and you think, oh really? Oh, is that so? It's like there's certain things you don't say, and that's just being at the block and having been there and knowing what to say and when to say it when you're in the city of Glasgow. And you can't smiling at the end. No,
I think Danny will live to regret that, because obviously then he's taken to school 3 times against the old timer. Obviously the 2 back-to-back games at Ibrox and then again at Parkhead. But I mean, it just shows you he's an old master. He knows how to play the game, how to play the media, how to get the message across. He's just an old master. He really is. But yeah, it's just it's an incredible tale, really. I mean, who'd have thought? But at the start of the season, they were sitting watching Martin O'Neill holding up the Premiership trophy.
Nah, never in a million years.
Carted away for suggesting that.
What? See, just on the actual the game at the weekend, guys, because you mix some of the changes that Martin O'Neill made. I thought maybe it was worth touching on a couple of players that I thought were really good at the weekend, and maybe one of the reasons why Celtic's kind of title form turned around, or title race rather turned around, was Dyson Maeda, because he basically at some point he went 17 games without a goal. He basically decided to turn up. He found his form. Another massive goal against Hearts. He was really the catalyst. But I would also throw in there, thought Arne Engels last few games was absolutely outstanding. Was showing, why he's worth the money that they paid for him. And just my wee one, I've said to you about this before, Mick, I love Marcello Saracchi. I thought Saracchi, when he came on at the weekend, he played such a big part in the second goal. He took the ball and he ran at Hearts. And as I say, in the end, it ended up in a goal. And I really hope Celtic can keep hold of him, because I think he's a brilliant player.
He is. I think the problem he's had this season, he's never really been fully fit. Mm-hmm. He's another one of these guys, the countless guys in the squad that hasn't been able to do 90 minutes. I think he arrived, he hadn't played an awful lot of football, and then he gets a serious injury. So I don't think he's ever been up to 100% fitness. Whenever he's played, he's been impressive. He's great going forward. He can invert. He can get outside. He's a little hardy little fella as well. He's not scared of getting wired in. So yeah, it's well not they can get a deal done for him. It would look a no-brainer. I think you're right. I don't know what it's
intelligent football, Michael, isn't he?
He is, but he's very.
He's quite intelligent the way he uses the ball, positions he takes up on the pitch. You can see he knows the game. Really knows the game.
Yeah, I think he'd be worth about 3 or 4 red cards a season right enough. I think he's got that in him. I can see some fiery Latin temperament in there as well that would go down our storm. For me, I think the key to it all, as you touched on it there, Dan, is basically Celtic all season struggled because of the lack of a decent striker. They couldn't score the goals, and I thought that was going to haunt them eventually. And what happened in the last 7 games was the 2 strikers that sparked into life. Kelechi Iheanacho, having been injured most of the season, still never really fully fit, turned up and delivered when he was called on from the bench. And Dyson Maeda rolled back to the last 6 months of last season and produced one of the all-time great explosions of form. 8 goals in 6 games. Harassing defenders, terrifying goalkeepers, and setting the tone for that final push to the line. It's the Dyson Maeda show that's got Celtic over the line, supplemented with Iheanacho weighing in as well. I don't think you underestimate the return of Arthur Johnson, which changed the way Celtic play completely.
Yep.
What he brings in an attacking sense, I think it changed the whole dynamic for Celtic. You started seeing the goals they were scoring, like the old-fashioned goals they scored under Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers, hitting the byline. Defenders, Johnson underlapping, overlapping, wingers can get inside. Just completely changed the way Celtic played. Excuse me. And Engels coming back was a big deal as well. I don't think Engels was a great game on Saturday. I thought he looked knackered, to be honest with you. I thought he played well against Rangers, and I thought he looked as though he was burnt out against Motherwell. And I thought he struggled a wee bit on Saturday, especially first half. And it'll get chaotic in the last 20 minutes. But no, he has been good towards the end. But I think Dyson Maeda and Iheanacho and Johnson are the reason I think they are where they are now.
I'm going to chuck another one in, Michael, aside from the Callum McGregors and all that, because we know about them. But you said it got chaotic in the last 20 minutes. There was one guy that didn't get chaotic for, James Forrest.
Yeah.
It's just, you see James Forrest coming on in a game like that and you think, Celtic are going to win this. I mean, Tenetsky just folded on the day. Let's be honest about it. It just seemed to be a wee bit much for Sebastian Tenetsky. That's not having a pop. He's not been in that position before. He just looked like it was all a wee bit too much.
Yeah.
Yang has been brilliant for, in terms of grit and effort, and he's really made a difference this year, Yang. But he was another one in Saturday. I'm thinking, there's just not that calm. And I think one of the first times James Forrest got it, he picked a lovely pass inside. Iheanacho kind of sold someone. Frankie Kent got it out his feet and bent a ball against the post. And from that minute, Celtic, you thought they're going to go on and win this.
Yeah.
When it wasn't one of those ones when the actual hit the post, you thought, oh, that's the last chance gone. You actually thought that's the start of the last 20 minutes. James Forrest just incredible. And that trophy haul and another title, and everyone's just not even noticed.
A British record, 14th
incredible.
time. 14th.
That calmness in the last 20 minutes when everybody else is totally losing their minds. And him and Callum Osman as well, by the way, I know I mentioned for him.
Good shout,
What a spin, never mind the goal. The one who made that dart and run in the box to them. And then, how many times you've seen guys get into that position? I include Dyson Maeda himself, incidentally, slashing it over the back, hitting the goalkeeper with it, pinpoint. One of his first touches, pinpoint pull back for Maeda to score. That kid might have a wee future at Celtic.
He's sort of about him.
Off under Brendan, whether he was a victim of politics earlier in the season.
He's
certainly got something.
It was funny, Swan, because he first came on the pitch and his first touch was he cut inside and he slashed out for a throw, I think it was. And his second touch, he's put through and goal when he takes the first touch, and his second touch bundles into a defender and he falls over. Yeah. He looked rusty as a gate. And then, but he was mad keen, and he was dragging defenders all over the place, and then pops up with the great assist for the goal. And then manages to get his little moment at the end. Unlikely kind of hero. I think you're right about Forrest. See, this is the thing about the difference between Forrest and somebody like Tenetsky. James Forrest never ever seems flustered. It could be. He's always by the way, very rarely does James Forrest get chucked on when you're 3-0 up and it's just to get the cigars out. It's always Jamesy, go and help win this game. And yet he never seems to get flustered. What he doesn't do, and this is what I'm going to talk about Tenetsky, when it's tight and tense and really the pressure's on, that's when you need to take risks. And James Forrest always is happy to take risks.
That's our responsibility. Doesn't
Whereas,
just knock it off. Responsibility.
whereas Taneki in big games that have been tense, he's not. He's been too safe. He'll turn back and he'll keep the ball. And by the way, you understand it, but he's not taking the risk. And if he's a winger at Celtic, you need to take the risk. Yang, I think he's run out of puff. I think he's a good season, Yang, and he's been a good servant. Excuse me. I still think that still need that area addressed, but I think he ran out of steam. He's put in a hell of a shift. He's been relied on so much, Yang, this season.
Yeah, that wasn't a criticism, Michael. Just to say that I'm just talking about alone. I made the point he had a good season. I just think Saturday, you're right. He wasn't there on Saturday.
I think he was out of steam a wee bit. I think so. But people should learn. They should all look at James Forrest and see they're a guy who isn't scared of the moment, isn't scared to go and take risks when it needs it, and that's what they need at that point in time.
What you mentioned, Callum McGregor there, and again, incredible for him to get over the line as well. He took some stick, I thought, unjustifiably, and I thought he came to the plate as well as Celtic won the league. What do you see the future being for him? Do you think he'll stay? I mean, there was a wee bit of me at the weekend when I saw him lifting the trophy and almost in tears that I thought, do you know, if I was him, maybe I'd want to try something different. 32 now. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, two things I would say on that before I let Michael take over, because obviously Michael was there and spoke to him 2 or 3 weeks ago when he made his statements, quite strong statements about the club going forward. He was never no one criticised him on here. I think most people realised during this podcast that Callum McGregor was the one that he was being let down by others in the middle of the park. You reach that stage in your career. Scott Brown had it as well. When you get to that stage in your career, you need legs run about you and other guys to do other parts of the game. Scott Brown and the likes of Callum McGregor and he'd Stuart Armstrong and he'd Ryan Christie, he'd legs run about him when it got to the latter stages of his career. You know, Tom Roddick was no mega athlete, but he give Tom Roddick the ball and he'd keep it for 10 minutes or do something. So it was people to take the burden off, and Scott was able just to concentrate on what he had to concentrate on. Himself. Callum McGregor was doing 3 jobs a game at times. Putting out fires, covering mistakes, being the guy that people are looking to make the game happen. And it was just, he needed some help. And finally, I thought it was interesting that you brought up Arnie Engels, wee bit of legs in there alongside him, obviously made a big difference in those final games of the season. I thought you only had to listen to, I don't think Callum McGregor's influence will ever be known really and fully. We're around, Michael, we hear what people talk about and all that. You only had to listen to Kieran Tierney at the weekend to get an understanding of what Callum McGregor has done this season for that Celtic dressing room. And as much as Martin O'Neill's got them over the line, I think you'll find out in years to come when the stories start to come out that Callum McGregor was every bit as big in getting them through the whole thing. An unbelievable Celtic captain.
Tierney as well. See, Tierney, again, started the season, took a bit of stick. What a campaign he's had. I mean, he came back, people were saying, is he shot? Is his pace going? I mean, I think it's, is it 6 goals and 12 assists?
Yeah. And I wasn't dodging the Callum McGregor question, incidentally. My answer to the question would be Celtic will decide what Callum McGregor does, if you ask me. Celtic show the ambition that Callum McGregor has. I would imagine he would want to stay. But if he does decide that's enough, be carried out shoulder high.
Aye, as he should be. Aye.
Yeah. I don't think it's an open shut case with Callum McGregor's future at Celtic at the moment in time. I think, like you say, that was the interview last week. We did say things. The Celtic match my ambition, then I'll stay. That's a very kind of open definition. How do you quantify ambition? Is it say if you spend 50 million quid to get Champions League? I don't know. So I think he's been quite cute with that one. It's no doubt in my mind that he's absolutely dragged this team through this season. I mean, Swan, I totally agree with you. I think you talk about O'Neill, Maloney, Fotheringham, Strachan and Woods and McManus as the coaching team. You got to put Callum McGregor has been a de facto joint manager, at least since January. To the extent we'll find out in time. I think as well. I think McGregor runs that dressing room. He has done for a long time. I mean, when Ange Postecoglou came in, he handed the keys to McGregor for the dressing room, and he's held him ever since. He runs a tight shop. This is McGregor's dressing room, and at times I have no doubt that he's the one that said we're playing this way and we're doing this, and he's managed to get this team over the line. And I think again, sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. You know, it's like it's 2 bad games in a row. He's kind of injury. Fans are like, oh, he's finished. He's done. He's passed the ball backwards. Right. Look at the way he's played in the last 5-6 games of the season. Incredible.
Like a demon now.
I mean, no doubt he's louping with injury. I mean, no doubt he's hurting. He's having to bite down his gum shield and he's dragged him. In terms of future, listen, you're talking about Saudi, aren't you, Daniel? You're talking about the Saudi link.
Right. I
just don't know. I'm led. I say this. I don't think this is quite as concrete as some people think it is. Is it the Saudi teams? You only get 8 foreigners in your squad. At least a lot. Talk to the Rodgers team. They're going to spend big this summer. They can go and get 8 top level. I mean, like 25-year-old Champions League level players. Are they going to use one of the 8 slots for 33-year-old Callum McGregor? Rodgers maybe would, but the people above him are saying, no, we want to go and get a Tielemans. We want to go and get a so-and-so.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it's quite as clear-cut as that. It's just saying, I'll go to Saudi. We just go to Saudi. It's not quite as that. You need to get 8 match-day squad of foreign players. But if you get a budget of 400 million quid for these 8 foreigners,
Aye.
do you know what I mean? As much as I think he's a phenomenal player, you go and get a Tielemans and spend 30 million quid or something like that. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of level we're talking about. So I don't know. He'll certainly have the phone ringing. So
the other one, guys, that I wanted to get your take on, I just realised how long we've been on. Time's getting away from us, but Rio Hatate left out the squad at the weekend. I know I've droned on a wee bit, Mick, on here, asking you about him. It's only because he was one of my favourite Celtic players. I thought he was, on his day, a fantastic player. A guy that could change games, and we saw that at Ibrox in the 2-2 draw when he came off the bench at half-time, but not even in the squad at the weekend. More than likely played his last game at Parkhead. Remains to be seen if we'll be involved in the cup final. Just seems a kind of sad end for Hatate.
Aye, strange, isn't it? I mean, he only played, he came off the bench at Fir Park, get 20 minutes. Before that, he only played 17 minutes in the previous 5 games. I mean, it's like, so he's clearly fallen out of favour.
Never featured since today, get moved to right back at Tannadice, Michael.
No, he actually had a decent run of form up to that point as well. During that period when Celtic did kind of 4 or 5 away games, when you had Stuttgart, Rangers, Aberdeen, I thought he played really well during that period. But after Tannadice, something clearly, again, it'll come out in the wash, but he's not been fancied since then. There's been a few guys in that period that have just been put to the side. I mean, you look at Paulo Bernardo disappearing, all the January guys disappearing. There's been a few that have just been quietly just shoved away along with our old chum Miguel Angel Baltwisha.
I forgot about him.
I think Hatate's, it's a sad way. I mean, he might have a big part to play in the cup final weekend.
Aye.
He got the bench in the 3rd part, so he's still kicking about. They might need a bit of legs in the cup final when we're talking to in a minute about Celtic going to be the exertions of this league run, and then Saturday's emotion and all that stuff. They're going to need some fresh legs for Sunday, so I think it should be a Rio Hatate show.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the cup final. That's probably the best place for us to finish today's podcast. I mean, you couldn't write it. Martin O'Neill, Neil Lennon, Hampden. I don't even know how to attack this. I mean, Celtic are obviously going to be big favourites, but just an incredible occasion for both men, I guess. It'll be really special to both of them.
Absolutely. When Martin O'Neill signed off from his first spell at Celtic, it was with a Scottish Cup winner. Quite sure he'll be looking to do the same again. Yeah, as Michael, as you said, Daniel, and Michael has said previously, it's just incredible how fate aligns in these situations. But Neil Lennon's not going to be rolling over to let Martin O'Neill get that job done. I mean, he's done some special things at Hampden himself, Neil Lennon, in the past. I mean, this would be the ultimate to win this one. But I think Michael's right. I think Dunfermline they've had a lot of football recently as well, of course, with the playoffs, and they've had a few they've got a few injury problems, and I think they might be on fumes a wee bit as well. So I'm not sure it'll be a high octane cup final, because I think guys have been through a lot of football and a lot of matches. But I'll be intriguing. I don't think Celtic will steamroller it.
No,
I just don't think that's the way this season's set up. You could probably contradict me and say the one game when they did steamroller was Hampden in extra time and against St Mirren, when they actually, for a period in that extra time, were absolutely sensational. Listen, Celtic should win. That's the bottom line. Celtic should be winning this game, and it should be a double to send Martin off into the sunset. But I don't think it'll be easy for them. Neil Lennon's team. Neil Lennon will make sure it's not easy, I'm sure.
How do you see it, Mick?
I was talking to a Rangers supporting chum of mine over the weekend, and he said they're the world of pain right now, obviously. I mean, completely the depths of despair. And he says, this sums it up. He says, Rangers need Celtic to win the cup final to make sure they're in the Europa League rather than Europa Conference. He's like, well, that's not happening. I'm not supporting Celtic in any game. And he goes on a minute, I need to support Dunfermline, who are managed by Neil Lennon. He's like, this is an absolute, this sums up this season. He's in the dark depths of despair over this one. I love it. It's a nice wee story, isn't it, to the end of the season with the Martin O'Neill factor. I mean, there's such a kind of a bond between the pair of them. I think the film had a great season. I think they're also running out a bit of steam of late. It's been a pretty grueling kind of run for them.
Do you know like the playoffs in the Championship is just so unfair? It's ridiculous.
Waited for the top flight teams, isn't it? It always has been.
Yeah, it's
always a complaint that it was weighted for the top flight teams.
Aye,
it's always a big ask to go through the playoffs and try and get up. I mean, very rarely has it actually happened, doesn't it? I mean, you got to roll 2 sixes and jump through hoops and then get chased by ball and a bear through a field to get to through it.
Robbing it, Michael.
I was ripping the head, ripping the bits that are like metaphor there. So to speak.
I wondered where you were going with that, Michael.
This season's put me in the loadie bin.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be a this kind of easy encounter for Celtic. I think they would be crawling through it as well. But it would be nice to see how it works out with Lenny against Martin. But yeah, I think Celtic should have enough to get it done. But I don't think it'll be a silky kind of a straightforward afternoon. Nothing. It's this season. It could go away penalty kicks.
Could be anything.
Yeah, I'm certainly not booking a restaurant for Saturday night anytime soon. A sharp getaway for Hampden.
26 each in penalties. Managers called upon and Neil Lennon scored the winning penalty.
Exactly. That's been that kind of year. So I'm not that list earlier on, forgetting about when you get Scotland scoring 2 goals in the last minute as well.
Oh, aye. Good point.
And a Celtic AGM getting abandoned as well, remember?
I forgot.
It's been there's a book in this season. I wish I'd taken notes.
What a mad season it's been. Well, look, whatever happens in the cup final, we'll be back with one more Record Celtic podcast next week. But for now, guys, I think that brings us to the end of this week's Record Celtic podcast, brought to you by NordVPN. Swanee Mick, it's always an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Daniel.
No worries.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thank you very much for watching and listening at home. And as I say, we'll be back next week. Cheers.